Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Just one before we die. However, much more somber before I die this week because the Vikings coming off a 22-6 loss to the Atlanta Falcons, moving 1-1 on the year. Guys, the biggest issue, I'm going to say it, it's J.J. McCarthy for me. 7 of 8 quarters played have not been great. And yes, that's how I feel. He completed 11 of 21 passes yesterday for 158 yards, 3 interceptions and a fumble lost.
2.
All not scores. Two interceptions, right? I saw 2 different stat lines on this. 2.
There was the third there was one in the middle between the 2 that was dropped that hit the ground.
Okay. Either way, not great. That's just and he took 5 sacks in the first half against a poor pass rushing team in the Falcons. Where do we go from here, Jason? Now you are going to contradict me and say you didn't mind JJ's performance, whereas I'm sounding a slight alarm, a small alarm.
No. I mind it in the second half. I think the first half was fine. I think we saw success with him marching down the field towards the end of the first half. I don't think you could take away from some of the throws he made on that drive, and then obviously the throw to Jefferson. I think things really unraveled when we had that substitution issue on the 2, and all. It was just an absolute crap show. I don't know why you don't give it to Jordan Mason. If things continue like that second half, you have very serious issues. But I will say this. I've seen that kind of thrown out like, hey, these 7 of 8 quarters have been really bad football. How about the last 16 quarters? The Vikings have scored 3 offensive touchdowns, and they were all last week. You look to the Detroit game for the number 1 seed last year. You look to the playoff game in Arizona against the Rams. 9 points in each of those games. The only Vikings touchdowns have come last week against the Bears. And so I think that as much as McCarthy deserves blame for just missing open throws when they were there, I think that the sack rate is just astronomically high. I saw Mina Kimes posted it was the highest pressure rate that the Falcons have had in forever. I forgot the exact time frame. Good. Yeah, and so for that reason, at the end of the day, you're a top 10 overall pick. You have to make open throws. Like the Naylor throw, it's just all those things you have to hit. I'm not going to make excuses. I do think there is more systemic issues and concerns with how this team is formatted right now, given the look back into, hey, this doesn't look much different than how we collapsed at the end of last season.
Yeah. And you mentioned the offensive output. There was a lot of questionable offensive plays and calls being made as well, right? I mean, you mentioned the deep throw to Naylor, 3rd and 1 with 9-ish minutes left. The whole play calling on the offense all night, again, not getting Mason more involved, which I also needed for my
5 carries
fantasy.
In the first half. 5 carries, inexcusable.
And way too many pass plays on 2nd and 3rd, and that leads to your punts. You're not getting the touchdowns. You're not getting there. What do you think, Leighton? Is it the offense combined with J.J. McCarthy? What needs to change to find more success? And obviously KOC taking accountability yesterday and commenting, saying our team will handle this adversity. We've got to go improve immediately. We didn't show up in all phases.
Yeah. First of all, I think the better football team won last night. I don't think there's any way around that. I think the Falcons just played a better football game. And do I think they're that much better than the Vikings? No. But, they played a better football game. The injuries showed. And, having Darrisaw and Addison out on offense is going to change the play calling. And I think the thing that pops off the screen for me is that the Vikings haven't even run 100 plays of offense this season yet. And that's when you have a quarterback who hasn't played in 600 days and then comes into the NFL and he's 2 games in, but he hasn't even played 100 snaps of offense yet. And then we talked before the season, these mouths to feed. There's a lot of them. And when you only have less than 100 plays, maybe Mason should be getting more touches, sure. But it's so should Aaron Jones. So should Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the NFL. That was my biggest takeaway. A.J. Terrell goes down in the second half. And I get that he's seeing different coverages. I get that he's dealing with the safety over the top, but at the same time, there needs to be at least 5 to 6 plays solely designed just to get the ball into his hands. I don't care if it's a screen. I don't care if it's an end around. Whatever it is, you just need to put the ball in his hands because he's going to make plays. And he's the guy that strikes fear into a defense. And the fact that he isn't getting the ball, it makes it way easier for the defense to not even have to not worry about him, but they don't have to worry about tackling him. They don't have to worry about covering him when we're not pressing to get him the ball over and over and over again. I mean, yeah, the play calling it's back and forth for me because at the same time, there gets to a point to where it doesn't matter what play you call as long as you're able to execute the freaking play. Like 2nd and 2 when you're running plays, when you're running run plays to Jordan Mason and you get stuffed at the line of scrimmage, we're not going to put that on KOC. Just execute the damn play and get the first down. You know what I mean? It's like it's a mixture of both. When the offensive line is a revolving door at left tackle and you have a rookie left guard playing next to him, there's going to be issues there, but at the same time, you can put it on the play calling, but I think it's just as much as the execution of those said play calls.
I agree with you. I would say I think my frustration with the play calls is one, I think Jordan Mason for the most part has proved that he could be the clock eater of this team, right? He's how you keep possessions alive. I think a lot of what KO was calling that I had problems with was not really establishing the run and then leaning a lot into play action when your offensive line was getting blown up. And by the time McCarthy would complete the fake, he was getting knocked over. And that's where the play calling for me, it's like, I understand play action was a big part of your plan. That's totally great. In an ideal world, we would establish the run well enough to where that would make sense and the offense would be in a rhythm and you'd have McCarthy protected. But a lot of the times.
But if the offensive line is getting blown up, there's nothing to establish. You can't run any plays if the offensive line is getting blown up. There's
think
no
Mason
plays
was
you can
doing
run.
better. I think Mason was doing better going up the middle than when we were trying to do stuff around the edges.
Sure,
Personally,
I can agree with that.
I think
but he also got
that's
stuffed on short yardage situations multiple times to when it's 2nd and 2 and you can't get a first down.
No, I don't
you're
disagree.
Screwed.
I think that you kind of have to make a decision one way or the other because I don't think you can overcompensate and then try to chuck it deep on 3rd and 1 because that was a number one complaint about KO his last few years is that he'd get kind of over the top on these short yardage 3rd or 4th situations, right? And during camp, we saw a lot of work on this where situationally on the sideline, you'd have it marked 3rd and 2nd, and they were working on genuine short yardage situations. And I agree with you, but at the same time, I just don't know what the fix is in that situation. I personally would have just kept pounding and seen what happened. But again, like to your point, maybe that influences he had limited carries in the first half. Why they decided to do what they did in the red zone when they were at the 2, I believe.
Yeah, that made no sense to me. I don't know why you don't just run it up the middle 4 straight times.
Exactly.
I agree with that, and I agree with that. And the play calling has been, yeah, sure, it's questionable, but at the same time, it's like when your left tackle is a freaking revolving door, you can't do anything. You know what I mean? It's like you can't.
And that's just it, right? How much of a piece to this puzzle and to these struggles is missing Christian Darrisaw? We know what he can bring now to this point as well. Darrisaw has never played a full season. So it's not necessarily like this is an anomaly, this has happened, but how much is that how much is that going to need to be compensated for moving forward because that's such a question without Darrisaw as far as the offense goes?
I mean, it's massive. I mean, you have 4 new guys on the offensive line from last season, and I've been preaching, during this entire podcast, the offensive line is going to take time to mesh. I mean, that's one of the most important factors of an offensive line. And when you have 4 new players on the offensive line, including a guy who's never played in the NFL before, with a not rookie quarterback, but first-year starting quarterback, you're going to have to work out the kinks for sure. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the Falcons aren't world beaters, but man, that their defensive line looked like the best in the league last night. You know, it's
Right.
that's just the way it looked. But yeah, it definitely does come down to Darrisaw being there because he's going to make up for a lot of mistakes that Donovan Jackson might make. You know, School for sure, but then he's able to make up for a lot of stuff that this offensive line, you know, is struggling at right now.
Yeah,
Is that a good excuse, Jason? Do you think? Like, is it an excuse?
I don't. See, I think and that's one of my play calling things, is I think you have to adjust your play calling based around the fact that you have a very obvious issue at the left side. Mm-hmm. I'm curious what's actually, obviously we know what's going on with Christian Darrisaw. We all saw what happened last year and have seen the injury reports. I was a little thrown off that he was pretty much a game time decision last Monday, and then was, I believe it was an estimate of participation earlier this week as a full participant, and then scratched, like, not even questionable or doubtful, but just ruled out like a couple days before this game. It just kind of seemed a little odd. So I'm curious. I hope he doesn't have any complications or anything. But to your point, Leighton, about Donovan Jackson, he also is in a really bad spot now that Kelly's probably out. And once Kelly went out, he was playing between Walter Rouse, who came in for School, and then Juergens. So in that situation, you're like, okay, well, I really hope the right side of my line is doing fine. And I didn't really notice anything bad from Fries. I would guess and obviously I was in the stands. It's hard to see because everything's blocking your view of the offensive line for the most part. But Brian O'Neill right now is actually my biggest what's going on there, because he had a couple plays last night where and this is, some people have been, I'll give credit where it's due. Some people on the Viking sphere have been having this conversation for a while. I don't know if I'm ready to jump to where they're at, but there was a couple plays where O'Neill just didn't look like he either had the right assignment or he got bowled over a couple times. Darrisaw is going to make a massive impact, but we need both of those tackles to be healthy and at their best, at what we've seen them be, for this to really work. And obviously you have to hope Ryan Kelly's history doesn't complicate what he's already dealing with, and that he's able to get back out soon.
Yeah, it's a concern. It's an area of concern. There's a lot it is only week 2 though, guys. It is only week 2.
And we have this many injuries. That's why I'm freaked out. There's a lot.
It's not ideal, especially watching how good the Packers looked last week as well. Like, it's going to be interesting in the North. That being said, too, I did have somebody ask me about this, and I want to ask both of you, and Leighton, you can start. Is there regret on snubbing Aaron Rodgers at all at this point in the season? Like, do you think there's anybody that's out there like, oh, maybe we could have had Aaron Rodgers? A-Rod would have been a nice asset to have given some of these struggles for J.J. What do you think, Leighton?
No. I mean, it's 2 games, and quarterbacks are going to play bad games, especially when you haven't played football in a long time. And I'm not trying to like add up these excuses for J.J. McCarthy on why he isn't playing as good as he is, but I feel like it's just the truth. I mean, he's a first-year starter. Yeah, he's had a year on the bench, and he's able to learn, but at the same time, you're missing your left tackle, your center goes down, your running back gets hurt, you're missing your wide receiver too, you're missing, like, Addison was the dude he was practicing with every single day in practice when Jefferson was out, and now he's not playing, and now Jefferson is playing. It's early in the season. I don't look at J.J. McCarthy and be like, oh, if we had this guy here, he'd be so much better. Mm-hmm. If we had Aaron Rodgers, we'd be so much better. Because, again, I think it's just a collection of a lot of things that went wrong. And I honestly, nothing could get synced up last night. When the offensive line finally blocked, J.J. would either miss a throw. When the wide receivers got open, the offensive line wouldn't block. It was just a mixture of everything, play calling included. But I don't look at any other quarterbacks in the league, obviously besides the top ones, and I'm like, oh, if we had, that option, if we had Carson Wentz, I'm not pulling that card like some people already are on Twitter.
Man,
it's utterly ridiculous. When you have a D end breathing down your neck from behind you, it makes everything a whole lot more difficult in the NFL.
Yeah,
Jason,
you had a really good. Your tweet last night was very good, and I just want to say
That was late night thoughts.
Can we share? Can we share this late night thought? What was it?
Late night.
Yeah, I can pull it up quick.
Okay, that'd be great. Don't you love when these tweets just pop? It's so fun. Feels good.
I just said the amount of overreactions from Vikings fans is actually incredible. The 22-year-old quarterback just played his first home football game 3 days after having his first kid. I think I'll give him a couple more games instead of giving Wentz a shot.
That's fair. And that's just it. The crowd. Let's give a shout out to the crowd. You guys were both there. I know from a TV perspective, it was louder than hell. Like
that first quarter.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was very evident when it was messing up drives. I mean, Atlanta wasn't able to get a touchdown until the end of the game either, right? Because they weren't able to hear and communicate. So shout out to the fan base. And that's where it is. It's unfortunate that you have that type of outcome when there was so much positivity and optimism and excitement at the bank. But just got to bring it back and keep doing it.
I did. I don't know if you saw this, Leighton, but there was a very lovely skull chant attempt through a pretty significant amount of the stadium while we were on that 3rd and 1 where we overthrew Naylor. Had nothing to do with the result of the play, but nothing beats a skull chant while your team is on offense. I
saw that.
Love it.
I like as much as I hate it, I don't mind it because trying to get some juice into the buildings. Like,
I get it. It just
needed something.
It drives me crazy, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? You paid to be here. Have some fun at this point because this game is not going well.
No.
I definitely don't think the Rodgers thing. I mean, Rodgers threw 2 picks yesterday. He didn't look any good, right? And I'm not going to sit here and compare that. Like, I think there's maybe a few quarterbacks that I would say, hey, if you could give me Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, I'd be like, yes, that'd be great. That's not going to happen. At the end of the day, I'm very curious as to the decision making with a lot of the offensive flow because J.J. McCarthy has been pretty clearly the guy according to Kevin O'Connell and this team. Like they've stood really firmly behind him. I would rather they let him sink or swim and embrace him like the guy by calling plays like he's the guy. Because I don't think they're doing him any favors for his development or rhythm. And I think it's causing confusion as to, hey, do you have faith in this guy or not? Because you spent all offseason saying you did, and the fan base started to really buy into that. And we saw things in camp, some ups and downs, but for the most part, things that were like, hey, this has a lot of potential. So I'm very curious, but I don't think Rodgers really. You think a 41-year-old quarterback's going to be any better against this with this offensive line in front of them?
Right.
At least JJ's capable of scrambling. By the way, and I know this probably wouldn't have changed the game, but who knows? All hypotheticals. Not challenging that first down scramble. That was a first down on that opening drive. What the heck are we doing? Every angle I saw looked like he had that. You gotta try to sustain drives.
Well, then here's my other question: when does replay assist come in? Like, is that a play you have to challenge? It's
incredibly inconsistent. You would think that because they're using the digital ball markers too, right?
Right. So I don't think that's a play you have to challenge if they see a replay and it's clearly a first down.
Yeah, all the angles I saw, you couldn't really tell where his knee was down. For me, I'm like, hey, it's the opening drive. Yes, you don't want to burn through things, but at the same time, your young quarterbacks out there pretty much risking it all to try to get a first down and keep that opening drive going, build some momentum, and it's close enough where I think it's worth it. But yeah, I agree. The inconsistencies with what's reviewed by the booth or when the digital ball marker comes in, all those things, it's a little
the replay
confusing.
assist. I was thinking the same thing though. I thought he got it, but then at the same time when people were saying challenge, if he did get it, replay assist would have just been it's a first down. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if throwing the red challenge flag was the move there or not. But and then you just a terribly executed quarterback sneak that was just absolutely brutal.
Could have gone better. On
would have rather have
Brandon
front. Powell back there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that whole situation. Ugh, I don't know.
It's PTSD. Fine. Let's look ahead. We'll look ahead, guys. We have a Joe Burrow-less team to face this week, but is it going to be the Jake Browning revenge game yet again on Sunday?
No. I mean, it can be for sure.
It could be.
The Jake Browning revenge is the most overhyped thing of all
great.
time. Like, dude, you were on the practice squad.
So great.
You were cut and let go for a reason. We didn't do it out of spite. Like, you just didn't play good enough to be on the Vikings.
Yeah.
Get your
You don't
revenge.
see Sam Hartman crying about being on the practice squad.
Oh,
Yeah, there
wow.
it is.
Wow. Gotta get it where you can.
Found a way. I'm going to find a way to incorporate some comments from YouTube. These are coming to us from last night's vent line, you guys. First comment coming in. Dan says, where is TJ Hawkinson? So my question to you, make it easy. Where is TJ Hawkinson? And I'm going to say it a little louder for the people in the back. Jason, where's TJ Hawkinson?
I'm gonna need to watch the All-22 on this one because if I remember, I only remember one target, and I think it wasn't a great throw, and I think he dropped it. I think he probably could have caught it. I'm having concerns that maybe he's never gonna be the same after that injury, and that
you got
worries
contractitis.
You know, it's that ear infection. I think the Hawk move was really good at the time. Like, it all made sense, but I'm very worried. Like, what is he not able to gain separation? Because and obviously camp's a different environment, but like McCarthy was targeting him like crazy. Obviously Addison was getting the majority, but like he was working with Hawkinson in the summer in Nashville. Like, they should have way more of a connection. And if something's up, then where's Josh Oliver? Because he proved last year he was capable of catching passes when needed and actually had a few pretty big conversions for us. We have to find a way to utilize, whether it's Hawkinson or Oliver or Urasek. I don't even know at this point who they're going to use, but you have to get your tight end involved in the game, especially when you're missing your wide receiver too. And Adam Thielen is proving pretty much exactly what I expected, which is that he cannot get down the field. So you have to find ways to get the passing game going in short to intermediate so that you can open up those deep shots. And it's just not happening right now. So whatever they need to do to get a tight end more targets and successful catches, they need to scheme that this week, because that's also how you're going to sustain drives. Isn't run, deep shot, punt. It's run, short pass, intermediate pass in the middle of the field, things like that. We have to see that happen. I don't know why Hawk has struggled so bad since coming back.
Leighton, anything to add?
I mean, they've just been absent. I think and I just go back to just the more I think about less than 50 snaps of offense in both games. If you really add it up, in my heart of hearts, you're running the ball, 20, 25 times. So then that leaves you around 20-some pass plays. Jefferson should probably be seeing half of those targets right now, no matter what. And then that leaves another 10 for the rest of the wide receivers to go around. And when Addison comes back, it's going to be interesting to see how it's split up. But yeah, it's a rhythm thing. It's not executing on short yardage situations and just having a tough offensive line to where it's hard to trust any play call right now when you can't execute what should be the easiest of play calls.
And to that point, if we want to get McCarthy in a rhythm, quick throws to the tight end are a good way to do that.
For sure. And I thought Aaron Jones dropped a screen that would have put us in a great position on, I think it would have been second or maybe third and short or whatever it would have been, but dropped a screen. Those are the plays. I don't get why Jefferson doesn't get plays like that.
Like screens, like designed screens on third and short. And
anything.
I still think of I think it was 3rd and 1 in the Giants playoff game a few years ago. The design play for him was to throw it to Kirk Cousins. It's not that complicated. You have an elite playmaker not only getting the ball, but with the ball in his hands. You do an end around, you do something, you do a bubble screen, you do whatever it takes. I agree 100%. But if for some reason that's not the approach you take, your tight end should be your safety blanket as a young quarterback. That is who you should be able to depend on. Again, I'm not going to make assumptions over what Hawkinson did or didn't do because I couldn't see everything perfectly being in the corner of the end zone. But whatever the solution is, if it's giving Josh Oliver more plays, then do it. But the tight end needs to get involved. There needs to be intention in the play design to make those quick passes. That's how you're going to sustain drives, along with pounding the rock and being committed with Jordan Mason and then letting Jones come in and speed things up.
Yeah, that's fair. Next comment coming in There's been a lot of J.J. McCarthy and Christian Ponder comps in the comments. Minnesota Sports Fan, SNT Pint, many more. So my question to you boys, Leighton, you can kick this one off. Are we that impatient as a fan base that we need to panic 2 games in? It's very Minnesota of us, right? This is what we're used to. We're gonna freak out. We're gonna overreact and get very scared. Is it too much? Are these comparisons anything close?
It's way too much. Comparing him to any other quarterback ever after 2 games would be a disgrace to just the football itself, because it's like, what are we even doing here? I mean, 2 games in the NFL and we're already going to say, oh, he's this quarterback. He's from however many years ago. It's unfair. It's been 2 games. You can't compare him to anyone else, especially with the circumstances of the injuries, not playing football in a very long time, real football, over 600 days, and it's unfair. And I think it's just the way not only this fan base is, but just the way social media is and ESPN and their takes. It's popcorn reactions. Everyone needs an answer or a solution as soon as the game is over. We need answers right now. Everyone crowned, Jaden Daniels is, top 5 quarterback in the league after last year. And maybe he is. But then he comes back this year, and it hasn't been the same. I mean, go to Thursday night against the Packers. It was a rough game. Jaden Daniels had a rough game. Quarterbacks have rough games. It's as much as people want to crown quarterbacks or deflate them nowadays, you can't do it. I mean, look at Sam Darnold. She's got a $100 million contract, and everyone wrote him off 3 years ago. He shouldn't have been in the NFL, according to a lot of people. So you can't compare him to anyone right now, especially Christian Ponder. Like, geez.
Insane.
Yeah.
I still remember that draft, watching it. I was living in Colorado at the time, and when they selected Christian Ponder, I was like, who? Like, I will never forget my very visceral reaction to that selection. So that's fun for all of us. Next comment from YouTube, our final one. Jay Frizzy says, this team will be 7-10. My question to you guys, and we'll let you take this one, Jason. After 2 games, does anybody want to amend their preseason predictions?
No, because I think everything is fixable. Okay. And I have stood staunchly on the fact I believe McCarthy's going to set us up for success long term. There's going to be growing pains this year. My thing is everything that he's going through should be expected, but it should also be accounted and adjusted for. Kind of tying to what Leighton said, Christian Ponder's a bad comp. Let's talk about Josh Allen's first 2 games. He had 74 yards and then 240 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions in his first 2 games. Obviously, we have 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and 3 interceptions. But again, you don't know a quarterback. And if everyone gave up on Josh Allen in his first 2 games, we'd be missing a league MVP caliber player, right? So I'm not saying they're the exact same situations, but you have to let things take time. The thing that I think is going to be the 2 biggest things are, how do we adjust to that learning curve? How do we get some quick passes going? How do we get Jefferson involved quickly instead of just trying to hope he can get open way downfield while McCarthy's dodging bullets? And then secondly is this injury situation. You can't just prevent injuries magically or snap your finger and heal everybody, but that's going to have an impact, especially on the offensive line. And I'm hoping Darisaw is back next week, because I do think that'll make a significant difference, but it's not really going to matter if the play calling and the rhythm of the offense isn't reset. And I think that that's a conversation that needs to happen. I think if it does, I don't think McCarthy's going to be perfect, but I think he's going to get into a good rhythm and we're going to start to win some games.
Let me call my shot right now. Next week, if Darisaw does return, everyone's going to say the play calling was much better. And I don't think the play calling is going to change all that much. It's just going to be a matter of executing plays when they need to be executed. I think some play calling will change, but I just think the short yardage situation, having more time to throw, not having guys breathing down your neck, it makes a world of a difference. And I think that's just what's going to be. Sitting here and blaming KOC for the loss last night is crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm not blaming KOC. I think that the I think that there's some adjustments that you have to. And again, I'm not an NFL coach. Like we're sitting here in chairs, right? Like the definition of Monday morning coaching. But I do think, like what you're saying, like there is accountability. There needs to be design plays to Jefferson. There needs to be quick plays. There needs to be rhythm established. And I think when you have, and again, I mentioned it earlier in the show, this is the same type of stuff we were running into at the end of last season. This isn't just a McCarthy thing. Like we saw this with Darnold not being able to get into a rhythm in those last 2 games. When you have that and you don't make adjustments, then it becomes a question of like, hey, so why not? I hope there's some. I don't think you're going to completely change your entire offensive philosophy, but I think that you got to try to build a little rhythm, build some speed, keep those possessions moving, and have more than 50 offensive snaps.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing for me.
But that starts with a lot of those quick plays and being consistent in moving the ball little by little, not having to either run, deep shot every time. So that's where I think KO does need to make adjustments.
For sure.
So we should remind everybody, I will not overreact to a game. I will not overreact to the game. We all just take a breath. It is week 2. However, and we're going to wrap up this week's episode with this before I die. Again, I'm going to continue to overreact to my fantasy football production and plays. I take full accountability for my mismanagement of my team this week. I put O'Dunes on, how do I say his last name? O'Dunes?
Odunze.
Yeah, no, he's on my bench because he didn't do much last week. And so guess where that led me? That's 32 points sitting on my bench, taunting me.
The one Chicago Bears player you wish you had playing.
I wasn't impressed last week, right? I was like, this isn't going to work out well. And I put in, who did I replace him with? In fact, somebody much worse. Actually, not much worse. My team's really good. Oh, Jacoby Myers, which there's
It could work out.
It could work out.
Could.
You don't know.
Not looking great. Not looking great for Jesse. But
watch it. Hey, 45 points from Myers tonight. Let's go. Let's get a historic performance and clutch.
Look that's the optimism. We're going to get optimistic about Jesse's fantasy team. We're going to get optimistic about the Minnesota Vikings. Again, they are back in action on Sunday. Looking forward to it. As always, you boys are great on behalf of Leighton, Jason, and Ross behind the board. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget to check out all your other Purple Daily content, all your other Score North content. We will be back next week. We'll talk to you soon. And I remembered. I can talk over all this. There's all your shows. Enjoy. It's great. We love it. We love you guys. Have a good one.